Chapter 1327. Long time no see, Castle Lord. Yiqing Luo looked at the young man in front of her as she said with a smile. This man wasn't anyone else. He was Death God Castle's Castle Lord, Zhou Xian. Yiqing Luo discovered him squatting at the corner of the wall because of his eye-catching shade of crimson. Or perhaps Zhou Xian intentionally let her discover his existence. So Yiqing Luo temporarily stopped the torture on Shangguan Liuli. Speaking of this, Shangguan Liuli had to thank Zhou Xian for not letting her suffer such inhumane torture before she died. If Shangguan Liuli knew what Yiqing Luo was thinking about, she would probably vomit out a mouthful of blood. Making her be eaten up by the battle pets, wasn't this considered torture? Young Miss Yi has good methods. Zhou Xian's icy cold face was expressionless. His voice was as usual, apathetic and emotionless. Yiqing Luo knew that he was referring to the matter where she dealt with Shangguan Liuli. She didn't know how long Zhou Xian squatted at the corner of the wall and how much he saw. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to hide as her brows rose in interest. Don't tell me Castle Lord feels that I'm too vicious? You are indeed vicious and merciless. You fed that woman a pill to maintain her consciousness, right? Zhou Xian said coldly. Yiqing Luo only smiled as she didn't admit nor deny it. The pill which she fed Shangguan Liuli was indeed a pill to maintain her consciousness. That medicinal effect would last till the end of Shangguan Liuli's life. Before she died, even if she was dismembered by the magical beasts, Shangguan Liuli's body would be bitten into pieces by the magical beasts. Shangguan Liuli wouldn't die, nor would she faint from the intense pain. She would only feel clearly how her body was being torn apart, how she entered the magical beast's teeth. Yiqing Luo's smile was filled with a chilly intent. Since Castle Lord also feels that I'm vicious, then why bother me? Zhou Xian didn't reply. Using that pair of clear eyes, he stared at her face without blinking. Suddenly his figure moved. Before Yiqing Luo could react, a chilly breath sprayed onto her face. The cold touch touched her face. Yiqing Luo knitted her brows tightly and was about to release her profound qi to counterattack. But she felt his fingers constantly groping the side of her face. His gaze was fixed on her face as if he was searching for something. Yiqing Luo's resistance stopped. Her brows were still tightly knitted. Are you suspecting that I have disguised myself? The man's fingers that were constantly exploring the outline paused and he said in a low voice, I can't rule out this possibility. The two of them were very close to each other. As Zhou Xian spoke, his warm breath landed on her face. Then, did you find it? Yiqing Luo turned her face away unnaturally. She wasn't used to being stained with a man's aura other than Zhou Xian's. Zhou Xian gazed deeply at her. His sharp and cold gaze met hers for several breaths of time. Then he let go of her. Yiqing Luo immediately took a few steps back and patted her own body. Your face is real. She wasn't sure if it was Yiqing Luo's misconception. She felt that Zhou Xian's voice had become much gentler when he said this. His aura wasn't as cold as ice like before. This change was because he had confirmed the authenticity of her face? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized Zhou Xian up carefully. She was silently guessing in her heart. This Zhou Xian seemed to know her and they were very familiar with each other. Now he had come to confirm the authenticity of her face. Could it be? Chapter 1328. Something wasn't right. She had taken over this body for such a long time. She had long become one with this body. In her memories there was no such person named Zhou Xian. For a man with such a strong presence like Zhou Xian, if she had met him before, how could she not recognize him? Had Zhou Xian remembered wrongly? Or had she really forgotten about Zhou Xian? Seeing Yiqing Luo remaining silent, Zhou Xian's gloomy gaze was fixated on her eyes, as though he was trying to find out some information from her gaze. Their eyes met and after some time Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she gave a teasing smile. I'm so sorry to disappoint Castle Lord. The one who has this face is a vicious and merciless woman. Following that, a cold intent flowed past her charming eyes. She smiled faintly, so Castle Lord, don't be affected by this face of mine. Saying that, she turned around and strode into the night. Her red dress was as enchanting as a blooming rose. As she walked, it was as though she was a raging flame as she drew an arc in the air like the setting sun. Momentarily, it dyed Zhou Xian's clear eyes red. The expression on his face at this instance had some changes. He fixed his gaze on Yiqing Luo's departing figure. Until Yiqing Luo was about to disappear, that serene and cold voice floated into Yiqing Luo's ears along with the wind. If you want to live on, being vicious and merciless is a necessary method. You're not wrong. Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted. When she turned back, that crimson figure had already disappeared. That sentence of his. What did it mean? Was he finding an excuse for her vicious and merciless actions? Although that was what he said, but his tone was filled with helplessness and a tinge of desolation. What was he trying to do? Did he feel that she would be able to live better in this world in this way? Or did he feel that the current her and the one in his memories was different? Just as she was searching for those memories of herself in Zhou Xian, her waist suddenly tightened as an elegant sandalwood scent entered her nostrils. Warmth instantly enveloped her petite body. Yiqing Luo's body stiffened, and after she felt the familiar embrace, she softened. Before she could even open her mouth, her body was forcefully straightened, facing the man. An overbearing and forceful kiss landed on her lips. This kiss seemed to be asking for something urgently, scorching and overbearing, making Yiqing Luo unable to catch her breath. "Ah Xian." Yiqing Luo's muffled voice spilled out from her entwined lips. "You? How?" What responded to her was an even more intense kiss. Not knowing how long had passed, Yiqing Luo felt dizzy and her body turned soft like a puddle of water before Xian Xian stopped this suffocating kiss. She leaned against his chest, gasping for air. The powerful arm around her waist tightened even more. "Ah Xian." She gasped lightly as she called out Xian Xian's name. Beside her ears, the sound of the man's heavy breathing came wave after wave. The scorching air hit her skin. After hugging for a long time, Yiqing Luo's breathing finally adjusted. She lifted her head, her eyes still containing a hint of seduction. When she met with that pair of peach blossom eyes which seemed to bear all the tenderness in the world, Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. She looked at his eyes in a daze, as though she had already sunk into that peach blossom forest, unable to extricate herself. "Other than me, you're not allowed to think of any other man." Chapter 1329. Was he jealous? He had heard the conversation between her and Zhou Xian earlier. Yiqing Luo's brows overflowed with a smile as she cupped his face with both hands. "Ah Xian, you're too overbearing." The man's brows rose slightly. "Can't I be overbearing towards my own woman?" All right. Yiqing Luo laughed as she fell into his arms as her little head rubbed against his chest like a kitten. "I like Ah Xian's overbearingness." After some time there was no response from the man. She raised her eyes in puzzlement as she met Xian Xian's slightly blushing face. She was stunned as though she had discovered a new continent as her eyes widened. Her curious hands cupped his face tightly as she wanted to take a closer look. Xian Xian's large palm, however, held her two little hands in his palm. Forcefully and overbearingly, he pressed her head into his arms. That boiling hot chest, that heart which kept on beating rapidly, scorched Yiqing Luo's face. Yiqing Luo lay in his arms in a daze, not struggling at all. Did she see wrongly? Earlier Xian Xian was shy. The Xian Xian who teased her till her pink bubbles were about to swell, teased her till her amorous heart was in turmoil, teasing her till she didn't want it anymore. He actually felt shy. Because of a sentence from her, he felt shy? Was she seeing things or her eyes twitched? "You're interested in Zhou Xian." A low hoarse voice floated from above her head. His voice was tense as though he was anxiously trying to change the topic. But this indeed made Yiqing Luo shift her gaze. After all, taking the opportunity when Xian Xian was shy to tease him or something. This thought was not valid. He was totally sure. Once she took the opportunity to tease Xian Xian, she would absolutely not tease Xian Xian till his pink bubbles were about to swell, and would not tease Xian Xian till his amorous heart was in turmoil. On the contrary, she would once again be teased by Xian Xian shouting, Don't. Without a doubt the ending would definitely become like this. Hence Yiqing Luo obediently followed Xian Xian's topic, denying flatly, "No." Staring at his departing figure with a pensive look, "You're still saying no?" Her nose was pinched harshly by his fingers. Xian Xian's expression was unfriendly. His hand even touched your face. Cough. Yiqing Luo suddenly coughed out. How much did you see? Dmo Xian's expression was gloomy as he spat out word by word, from head to tail. In other words, Dmo Xian had been following behind her? Watched the entire process? She was indeed jealous. Yiqing Luo weakly raised her little claws. I request for an explanation. Dmo Xian spat out a word. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered as she speedily explained her guess that she might know Chu Wu Exen, and Chu Wu Exen suspected that she was in disguise. He rattled off a long string of words without even taking a breath. A man soaked in a vinegar jar was very scary. Although it was clear that Dmo Xian believed that there was nothing between her and Zhu Wu Exen. But, even if it was nothing, he would still feel uncomfortable. Think about it from another perspective. She believed that nothing would happen between Dmo Xian and Feng Ling. But if Feng Ling kept pestering Dmo Xian, she would still feel unhappy. Hence Yiqing Luo didn't hold back as she explained the entire sequence of events clearly. Dmo Xian's fingers brushed past the contours of her face as he squinted his peach blossom eyes. I'm just confirming if you're in disguise or not? Yiqing Luo nodded her head like a little chick pecking rice. Chapter 1330. Yiqing Luo's lips felt extremely scorching from his slender fingers. This man was flirting with her again. His flirting was so natural that it made one blush. Earlier she must have seen wrongly when she saw him being shy. His ability is above mine and his speed is also above mine. I didn't intentionally let him touch me, so you can't blame me. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as her eyelids drooped down. Zhu Wu Exen was standing right in front of her in an instant. She didn't even have a chance to react. Furthermore, he wants to prove if I'm the real Yiqing Luo. If I don't let him personally verify that I'm not in disguise, then things will become even more complicated. Just as she was saying that, Dmo Xian's finger took the opportunity to enter her lips. So you obediently allowed his dirty hand to touch your face? The man's voice was extremely soft, revealing a sliver of dangerous aura. His low and hoarse voice gave off an intoxicating allure. Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. The finger that was moving on her teeth seemed to have some magical power. Her heart started to beat faster. The blushing young lady raised her eyes slightly. A pair of bewitching eyes looked towards Dmo Xian. Then, how do you want to punish me? Under the silent night, Yiqing Luo clearly heard the man's throat making a rumbling sound. That peerless face was covered with an expression that made her blush to her ears. His gaze was naked, as though he could see through her clothes and see everything about her. Dmo Xian's long arms tightened as he couldn't wait to rub the young lady's soft body into his body. His hoarse voice was filled with magnetism. There's still a few more days. Yiqing Luo trembled slightly. She knew what he was asking. How many more days was her menstruation period? Perhaps it was because she had been teased by Dmo Xian for a long time. Her body was already used to Dmo Xian's touch and teasing. Just sniffing his scent and listening to his voice. Yiqing Luo felt her legs turning into jelly as her entire body felt limp. She didn't get any response from the young lady. Dmo Xian's brows rose slightly as the hand which was around her waist suddenly moved downwards towards her abdomen. Not willing to say? Then I'll check personally. Just as it reached her lower abdomen, the hand was pressed down by the girl in a panic. The young girl's red face was filled with anger and humiliation. Beast. Yiqing Luo gritted her teeth and spat out. Test, test, test. What the hell are you doing? As he said that, he angrily flung Dmo Xian's hand away. They were still on the street. There was even a corpse lying on the ground. Was it really okay for him to touch her body like that? Even if he was in heat, he had to look at the place. Yiqing Luo glared at the man who had an evil smile on his face and pushed him away. Go back to the mansion, come back tomorrow to apply for leave. Looking at the back view of Yiqing Luo leaving in a huff, Dmo Xian laughed heartily. The more she laughed, the faster Yiqing Luo left. The moment she turned around, her entire face was flushed red. She couldn't help but think to herself, if I had known that I would fall into the hands of this man, I would have done more research on seducing men in the 21st century. Then she flirted with Dmo Xian till he didn't want to. The next day, after Yiqing Luo woke up, she didn't see Dmo Xian's figure as usual. She rubbed her forehead and muttered to herself, beauty is the bane of men. Being teased left and right by Dmo Xian, she had forgotten to tell him about what she had overheard in the academy. She also forgot to ask where he had gone for the whole day. If she saw him today, she must ask clearly. Chapter 1331. After walking out of the room, the door of Yan Xiaoyi's room was already wide open. Yiqing Luo walked over. As expected, she saw Xishanglan feeding Yan Xiaoyi medicine gently. Yan Xiaoyi was drinking the medicine with a blank look. Her eyes were empty and lifeless, not knowing what she was thinking about. Xishanglan said something in a low voice but didn't get any response from Yan Xiaoyi, but he still continued to talk. Hearing a sound from the door, Xishanglan stopped his rambling and turned his head towards the door. When he saw Yiqing Luo, he smiled warmly. "Good morning, Miss Yi." "Good morning." Yiqing Luo walked into the room and took a look at the medicinal soup in Xishanglan's hands. "Today the academy is summoning the students back to the academy. I intend to apply for leave for them, so I'll have to trouble young Master Shi to take care of my brothers." "Xiaoyi's brothers are my brothers, Miss Yi, please rest assured." Xishanglan put down the medicinal soup in his hands and smiled sincerely. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the medicine bowl which was put down. A deep meaning flashed past her eyes. Xishanglan seemed to have noticed that his actions were inappropriate as he hurriedly reached out to take that medicine bowl. Yiqing Luo's speed was faster than him. "It's still early to go to the academy, I'll accompany Xiao Yi." Yiqing Luo took the medicine bowl and sat down by the bed. Xishanglan retracted his hands sensibly. "I'll go take a look at the other brothers first if there's anyone who needs my help to take care of." Xishanglan walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo didn't say a word as she silently fed Yan Xiaoyi the medicine. Yan Xiaoyi didn't seem to notice that the person feeding her the medicine had changed. She only swallowed mouthfuls of bitter medicinal soup in a daze, without even batting an eyelid. Until the bowl of medicinal soup was emptied, the two of them didn't say a single word. Yiqing Luo's vision swept to a corner outside the room. The smile at the corner of his mouth deepened. Xishanglan was still outside the door and hadn't left. He thought that he had concealed it well. But with Yiqing Luo's perceptive ability, she could totally sense Xishanglan's presence. The minute she stepped into this room, Yiqing Luo sensed that something was wrong with Xishanglan. For 2 consecutive mornings Xishanglan had been feeding Yan Xiaoyi medicine. And earlier, when she said that she wanted to apply for leave, Xishanglan subconsciously put down the medicinal soup. Obviously his mind wasn't on feeding Yan Xiaoyi the medicine. Otherwise, no matter what he heard, he would not have stopped feeding the medicine. Now that he was quietly hiding outside the door, it was obvious that he was trying to find out some information. This Xishanglan. There was indeed a problem. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she placed the bowl of medicine aside. Perhaps it was because the house was too quiet. If Xishanglan stayed any longer, he would be easily discovered. In the end, he left quietly, until Xishanglan's aura completely disappeared. Yiqing Luo then calmly opened her mouth. "Jinzi came looking for you?" When he heard the words Jinzi, his dull eyes blinked. After some time, the focal length converged onto Yiqing Luo's face. Yan Xiaoyi was stunned. "Qing Luo, why are you here?" Yiqing Luo's slender fingers caressed that pair of obviously swollen eyes. "Have you spoken to Jinzi?" When he watched Yan Xiaoyi sleep last night, she was still fine. When she woke up this morning, she saw Yan Xiaoyi's red and swollen eyes, looking as though she had lost her soul. Other than Qiao Jin, there was probably no one else who could make Yan Xiaoyi reveal such an expression. Yan Xiaoyi shook her head as her head leaned towards the direction of the bed. "He only wished me and Xishanglan happiness." The last 2 words were said with great difficulty. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched. What was Qiao Jin up to? Did he really intend to give up on Yan Xiaoyi and wish Yan Xiaoyi and Xishanglan happiness? Chapter 1332. At this moment, Yiqing Luo simply didn't know what to say. Yiqing Luo expressed that she really couldn't understand Qiao Jin's train of thought. He would only be satisfied if he saw Yan Xiaoyi and Xishanglan living happily and happily. "Last night he came to my room to check on my injuries." Yan Xiaoyi's voice was very soft, almost inaudible. After that she laughed softly. "I thought he liked me. Otherwise, why would he specially come to check on my injuries in the middle of the night?" That laughter revealed obvious bitterness. Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved, but ultimately she didn't say out Qiao Jin's thoughts. There was no doubt that Qiao Jin liked Yan Xiaoyi, but he chose to give up. Just like what Zhou Xian had said, although Qiao Jin was a timid person, But he would not go so far as to personally push the woman he liked into someone else's arms. He had his own reasons for doing so. He had his own difficulties that he couldn't tell them. Qiao Jin had many secrets on him. This was something that Yiqing Luo knew. He had his reasons for giving up on Yan Xiaoyi. As an outsider, it's not good for her to point out Qiao Jin's feelings towards Yan Xiaoyi. Perhaps it would be more harmful to the two of them if they made things clear. Zhou Xian had specially instructed her not to interfere in their relationship. Looking at Yan Xiaoyi's sad look, Yiqing Luo couldn't bear to see her like this. His heart was in a mess. She let out a long sigh. But he said that he felt guilty because of what he did to me. He felt that he had let down my fiancé. Yan Xiaoyi's voice became increasingly broken and trembling. Fiancé. I've never acknowledged Xishanglan as my fiancé, but he kept putting Xishanglan as my fiancé. Then he smiled. His smile was very sincere and filled with blessings. He asked me to live a good life with Xishanglan and asked me to marry him as soon as possible. She was pushed by the man she loved to another man. This kind of pain was like a sharp knife, ruthlessly stabbing his heart. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Marriage? How could she accept this? He wasn't the one they were going to marry. Yan Xiaoyi's voice was already choking. Towards the end he was almost choking with sobs. She seemed to recall the scene last night when Qiao Jin said these words to her. Yiqing Luo's heart ached, but she couldn't say anything to comfort her. In the end he could only sigh helplessly. Holding a handkerchief, he bent over to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. At this time it was useless to say anything else. He could only stay by her side silently. Tell her at least she is not alone. The room fell into silence. About an hour later, Long Yunzhan's voice came from outside the door, telling her to return to the academy to apply for leave. Yiqing Luo stuffed the handkerchief into Yan Xiaoyi's palm and was just about to get up when her sleeve was tugged by Yan Xiaoyi. Startled, she turned to look at Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze was resolute as the corners of her mouth curled into a strange smile. Since he wishes me and Xishanglan, right, I will fulfill his wish. Yiqing Luo knitted her brows. Do you know what you're saying? I'm very calm. Yan Xiaoyi nodded calmly with a smile on her face. Feelings can't be used to act out of spite. You'll only hurt yourself in this way. Yiqing Luo realized what Yan Xiaoyi wanted to do and immediately dissuaded her. I know, I'm very calm now. Although she said that, but Yan Xiaoyi's eyes revealed a chilly intent with a hint of madness. Extremely shallow, totally indiscernible madness. Chapter 1333. Qing Luo, what's wrong? Outside the door, Long Yunzhan's voice approached. Yiqing Luo took a look at Yan Xiaoyi, whose eyes were red. If Long Yunzhan saw Yan Xiaoyi like this, he would definitely ask for the reason. After asking for the reason, it would be especially awkward. Yiqing Luo hurriedly stood up and shouted towards the door. Don't come in, I'll be right there. After saying that, he turned around and patted Yan Xiaoyi's hand lightly. Xiaoyi, rest well first. Don't think too much about other things. Wait for me to come back. Yan Xiaoyi didn't answer. She just pulled the corners of her lips and smiled. Yiqing Luo held her little hand tightly. Worried that Long Yunzhan would push open the door and enter, he didn't stay any longer and left Yan Xiaoyi's room. Before closing the door, she looked deeply at Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi's expression was calm as she quietly laid on the bed. Her gaze was fixed in front of her and no one knew what she was thinking. Thinking about it, Yiqing Luo was still worried. After telling Long Yunzhan to wait for her for a while, she went to Kitty Li's room. In Kitty Li's body flowed the blood of the beastmen. Its ability to heal wounds was extremely strong. And in the competition, Yiqing Luo didn't allow Kitty Li to go up on stage. Thus, Kitty Li's injuries had mostly healed. Unlike the other brothers who couldn't get out of bed and walk around, she could already walk around the mansion. Yiqing Luo asked Kitty Li to go to Yan Xiaoyi's room to accompany her for a chat. At least it wouldn't let Yan Xiaoyi's imagination run wild. Towards what Yiqing Luo had instructed, Kitty Li agreed to it. Heavenly Academy. On the holiday after the competition, the entrance of the academy was packed with people. It was extremely lively. Everyone's mouths were discussing the ending of the interclass competition, as well as the rise of the devil class. There were also quite a few people who said that they had been chatting happily with some faction in the past 2 days, or that they wanted to join some faction and so on. But very quickly this kind of bragging was suppressed by the craze of devil class. Have you heard? Devil class's Yiqing Luo. Didn't she establish a mercenary group, and yesterday she got someone to burn the mercenary group's base to death? It is said that more than 100 charred corpses were carried out from the base. Yiqing Luo's character is so arrogant, relying on her own power, totally not giving others any face. Offending others is a matter of time. Even if she were to be burnt to death, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Student Yi is arrogant, but that's because she has the capital to be arrogant. If you have the ability, why don't you try being arrogant as well? Bah! Yiqing Luo's brainless fan, you lackey. Saying the grapes are sour when you can't eat them. People like you deserve to look up to classmate Yi for the rest of your life. As the discussion went on, it inexplicably turned into a fight. Immediately a peacemaker changed the topic. Don't get your attention wrong, what I mean is that mercenary group which Yiqing Luo established, the mercenaries inside, are actually devil class's students? How is that possible? This guess was refuted by the majority of the students. The students had all heard of Yiqing Luo's mercenary group. On the second day after it was established, it was promoted to a bronze mercenary group. Even a complex mission could be completed with only 60 or so members. It could be said that the World Mercenary Group had a little fame in the mercenary world, and anyone who mentioned it couldn't help but raise their thumbs up. Devil class's students were the World Group's members? Was this a joke? Chapter 1334. It was just a guess, but it quickly spread like wildfire. More than half of the people who believed that Devil class's students were the World Group's members. Because as long as the number of Devil class's students and the World Group's members were compared, the answer would be revealed. When Yiqing Luo and Long Yunzhan both appeared, they heard the bustling discussions around them. Very quickly, someone noticed Yiqing Luo's arrival. Heavy responsibility's eyes immediately lit up. They were obviously wearing the Academy's uniform, green and white robes without any patterns at all. No matter how one looked at it, it looked old-fashioned. But unfortunately, on Yiqing Luo's body, it looked so elegant and moving. The green and white long robe made Yiqing Luo's devastatingly beautiful face look even more holy and elegant. A pair of dazzling eyes drew a long and charming arc momentarily. Numerous male students' gazes were glued onto Yiqing Luo. But quickly. It's Yiqing Luo. The one beside her. Why does he look familiar? Look at that pair of eyes. Long Yunzhan didn't disguise himself today. He used his original looks to display in front of everyone's eyes. But Long Yunzhan's unique azure blue eyes were extremely recognizable. Just one look and quite a number of students recognized him. This was the Devil class monitor whose ability was second only to Yiqing Luo in the inter-class competition. Long Yunzhan. Devil class monitor is just too handsome. No wonder he had to disguise himself when he took part in the inter-class competition. What disguise? I saw him in the competition, he changed into another person. You're just jealous that Devil class monitor's ability is so strong and handsome. Tisk. Damn love-struck fool. The surrounding students stared at Long Yunzhan as they discussed noisily. Yiqing Luo and Long Yunzhan didn't bother about the surroundings. Under the escort of numerous students, the two of them directly walked into the academy. Behind them a large group of people followed. Their mouths kept on discussing about Devil class, the World Mercenary Group, and that fire the day before yesterday. Along the way they arrived at the director's office in a grandiose manner. The director heard the teacher's report that 2 students from Devil class wanted to meet the director. The teacup in the director's hand almost dropped onto the ground. Why did Yiqing Luo, that plague god, look for him so early in the morning? Could it be? Now that they knew about his relationship with the Dark Faction, they wanted to seek revenge? Yiqing Luo's backing was the Imperial Palace. For Yiqing Luo, the Imperial Palace's disciples had already sent out their troops, constantly harassing and attacking the Dark Forces. Although he had never been to the underground forces, he had been working for them for many years. In the underground organization, the dean had his own people. He knew that the Wolf Saint technique's influence had been affected because of the Imperial Palace's recent momentum. If he was implicated in this matter, he might not be able to hold his position as the principal for long. Director was feeling apprehensive, but outside the director's room, not only were there Yiqing Luo and Long Yunzhan, there were thousands of students. He could not refuse to meet the students of the class that had won first place. Suppressing the uneasiness in his heart, the principal waved his hand and invited them in. What made the dean rejoice was, Yiqing Luo didn't have the slightest bit of doubt towards him. After entering the director's office, he went straight to the point and asked for leave. The dean heaved a sigh of relief, but his heart felt inexplicably guilty. Hence Yiqing Luo used the excuse that Devil Class's students had suffered serious injuries in the competition and had to stay in bed to recuperate, to request for half a month's leave. Chapter 1335. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly as she politely thanked him. She squinted her eyes as she sized up the director with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as she couldn't help but laugh in her heart. She didn't know how this director managed to survive for so many years without anyone noticing anything strange about him. He was just here specially to meet him, and he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Such a timid person, even the dark forces dared to use him. Oh right, it was because director was timid that the dark forces dared to rush in. Yiqing Luo hid the disdainful sneer in her eyes as she smiled faintly. Thank you, director, for empathizing with the students. I represent Devil Class students to thank director. Actually, Ghost Doctor had mentioned to me about the matter of applying for leave earlier. Director beamed as he said, trying his best to maintain his calm expression. With Ghost Doctor personally treating Devil Class students will definitely recover as soon as possible. With director's auspicious words, Devil Class students will definitely recover as soon as possible. Yiqing Luo smiled as she said, so? Devil Class's reward this time will probably have to be delayed. What does director think? How about after the Academy's exchange meet? Director's smile froze. He then recalled that Yiqing Luo had challenged Xianxia and won, so she could choose 10 students to enter the class of gods to learn. Enter the class of gods to learn. Wasn't just learning, but specially selected to become his lordship's food. These 10 students were outstanding students who had gone through several rounds of competitions and were finally chosen to enter the class of gods. Although it was called training, it was actually to become the most delicious food and to undergo a month of rearing before presenting them to his lordship. Now, the students of the Devil Class obtained victory. Even if they chose the strongest 10 students in Devil Class, no matter how they reared them, they would still be inferior food. His lordship would definitely blame him. Of course, this was the rule that had been set over the years. If he rejected Devil Class, not only would he not be able to answer to the world, he would not be able to answer to the main courtyard. Thinking of this, director broke out in cold sweat. Does director feel that my suggestion is inappropriate? Yiqing Luo half squinted her eyes as she looked at him with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Director suddenly regained his senses as he raised his hand to wipe the sweat off his forehead. Not knowing why, the more he faced Yiqing Luo, the more he felt guilty. It was as if that pair of quick-witted eyes had already seen through everything in his heart. Then it's decided. After the exchange meet, the students from the class of devils will go to the class of gods to continue their studies. The dean adjusted his own mentality, trying hard to maintain the calmness in his heart. Speaking of the Academy Exchange Conference, he had forgotten when the time came. He just had to think of a way to let the Devil Class students go to the Blazing Flame Nest. Everything after that would be left to the Wolf Saint Law. As long as all the Devil Class students died in the Blazing Flame Nest, he would then be able to arrange for other food to enter the class of gods to be raised. No trained. With that thought in mind, the dean's anxious heart finally calmed down. In order to perform well in the Academy's exchange meet a month later, I'll have to trouble student Yi to take good care of the students of Devil Class and strive to recover as soon as possible. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly. I will definitely not disappoint director. She emphasized the word, disappointed, with a hidden meaning. Right now, the headmaster's thoughts were all on how to trick the students of the various academies into going to the flame nest during the exchange meet. Thus, he did not understand the deeper meaning behind Qin Lai's words. His gaze landed on Long Yunzhan, who had not spoken a single word since entering the dean's office. Chapter 1336. This is. Director's expression turned slightly strange. His vision stared at Long Yunzhan's eyes without blinking. This azure blue gem-like eyes. Why did it look so familiar? In the bottom of his heart, a strange feeling started to spread. This is Devil Class Monitor Long Yunzhan. Director should have seen him during the inter-class competition. Yiqing Luo didn't miss any expression from director. His astonishment and strangeness were all in her eyes. Only she didn't understand, why would director use such a gaze to look at Long Yunzhan? Could it be that he knew Long Yunzhan previously? Devil class. Class monitor. Director muttered a few words. In his memory he had indeed seen this young man with a pair of blue pupils that day during the competition. But this face, this pair of eyes. He was devil class monitor? Could it be his lordship? Director, is there any problem? Yiqing Luo's puzzled voice was heard. Director's deep thoughts were interrupted. He immediately kept his emotions, shook his head and waved his hand as though he was anxious to draw a clear line. No problem, I just feel that devil class monitor and the previous competition looks different. Yiqing Luo didn't hide it, because Zhou is also a member of the world group. If we don't disguise ourselves during the competition, if we are discovered by other mercenary groups, then devil class will not be able to compete in peace. Disguise. Director's face turned pale once again. This made him recall the scene of Butterfly Saint technique disguising herself as Lu Shuiyu to participate in the finals. Although director was suspecting if those so-called disguise students and devil class students were the same. But he couldn't show it out. After all, there was already Butterfly Saint technique. If they really wanted to investigate the matter of disguise, Butterfly Saint technique could easily be implicated. It's getting late, I have to go and chat with the elders. You need to recuperate from your injuries, go back first. Director waved his hand. Yiqing Luo bid farewell to director and left the director's office with Long Yunzhan. Before leaving, Yiqing Luo specially observed director's expression. As expected, director's gaze was fixed on Long Yunzhan, as though he was confirming something. Director, he had met Long Yunzhan previously, and there seemed to be some special relationship. After walking out of the director's office, Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision swept the surroundings as she suppressed her voice. Zhou, have you and the director met before? Don't remember. Long Yunzhan also noticed that there was something wrong with the dean's strange gaze. His handsome brows furrowed slightly. Ever since I can remember, I've been in the devil class for almost 5 years, but I've never met the dean face to face. Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment. There's a possibility. Director knows about the memory you've lost. The look in the dean's eyes was not as simple as he said. In Long Yunzhan's memory, he had never had a face-to-face chat with the dean. In other words, other than Long Yunzhan's memories, the dean had seen him before. Where and under what circumstances did he meet Long Yunzhan? Perhaps, through the principal, he would be able to retrieve the lost memories of Long Yunzhan. Upon hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Long Yunzhan's expression instantly froze. He knows the past me? If my intuition isn't wrong, you can put it that way. Yiqing Luo nodded. After we return to the academy, we can start to investigate. Long Yunzhan lowered his eyes. His thick long lashes covered the emotions in his eyes. From Yiqing Luo's angle, she looked at his half-emotionless side profile. Inexplicably, a surge of melancholy arose from the bottom of her heart. A life without any memories was very scary. Towards the past, only a piece of blank space was very scary. Chapter 1337. Returning to the Shi family's residence, Long Yunzhan's emotions were complicated as he went straight back to his room. Yiqing Luo didn't stop him. At this moment, Long Yunzhan definitely wanted to be alone for a while. To be alone, to recall that blank memory. Looking at Long Yunzhan's departing figure, Yiqing Luo suddenly thought of something as she summoned Chi-Chi from the pet space. Chi-Chi was a sacred beast white tiger, and it was very clear about some matters regarding the human and dragon race. If Chi-Chi and Long Yunzhan had a good chat, to Long Yunzhan it should make him feel better. Chi-Chi gave a howl as it wagged its tail and its petite body chased after Long Yunzhan. Just as Chi-Chi disappeared, a huge black figure descended from the sky and landed in front of her with a single leap. Shiju, welcome back. Yiqing Luo patted its head. Shiju's ears twitched as its huge eyes looked towards the direction where Chi-Chi disappeared. It turned its head to look at Yiqing Luo as it gave a puzzled tone. Roar? As though it was asking what Chi-Chi was doing there. It will be back to accompany you in a while. Yiqing Luo's gaze turned gentle as she laughed lightly. Have you completed the things that I instructed you to do? Shiju's huge head nodded fiercely as it howled a few times with a roar 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 sound. Witnessed Shangguan Luli being torn apart by the magical beasts? When did she die? Yiqing Luo's lips curled up in satisfaction as her tone was calm, totally unlike a discussion about a person's death. Roar, Shiju responded as its huge head swayed as it rubbed against Yiqing Luo's palm. Yiqing Luo nodded. She only died when the head was bitten? Indeed a scourge, its vitality is so tenacious. Before Shangguan Luli died, the pain she suffered was not even comparable to her brother's pain. Just letting her maintain her consciousness and enjoy the pain of being bitten by the magical beasts was considered letting her off easy. Of course. She wouldn't let Shangguan Luli die so easily. Magic Beast Forest was filled with dense yin qi. The air was filled with a bone-chilling yin qi. And in the Magic Beast Forest, the souls of the deceased who were dismembered by the magical beasts would similarly be devoured by the magical beasts. Which meant Shangguan Luli had no afterlife. She was gone forever. Go take a rest. By the time you wake up, Chi-Chi will be back. Yiqing Luo rubbed Shiju's head as she spoke in a gentle voice. Shiju howled in a low voice. Its body suddenly became the size of a palm. It leapt onto Yiqing Luo's shoulder and stuck out its tongue to lick Yiqing Luo's face before withdrawing back into the pet space. Yiqing Luo's fingertips brushed past the wetness on her cheeks. He couldn't help but reveal a gentle smile on his face. Magical Beast Forest. That was where Shiju's mother was. Yiqing Luo had her own selfish motives for letting Shiju go over. She wanted Shiju to take a look at its mother. She thought that since Shiju did not return from the Magical Beast Forest for a night, it must have gone to see its mother. But Shiju did not. Touching Shiju's fur, he could clearly feel the moisture on its body. It was the touch of being wet with dew. Shiju's intimacy towards her seemed to be because it wanted to feel a trace of warmth from her. Shiju ate. Last night, after watching Shangguan Lili being devoured, he had indeed gone to the 5th level. But it didn't meet its mother. It only stood at the 5th level looking at the place where it grew up, looking at its mother from afar. Styled. Chapter 1338. Suddenly Yiqing Luo seemed to understand something. This was the reason why Shiju's mother could not bear to part with Shiju, but still insisted that she take Shiju away. Because of Shiju. They needed to follow in the footsteps of humans and grow slowly. Right now Shiju was slowly becoming stronger, slowly becoming a truly mature mirage beast. He believed. One day she would definitely be able to bring Shiju back to the 5th level of the Magical Beast Forest in a flashy manner. He brought Shiju to see Shiju's mother in the most dazzling way. After adjusting her emotions, Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction of Yan Shaoyi's courtyard. Before she left, Yan Shaoyi's expression and that sentence made Yiqing Luo extremely worried. Although he had Kitty Li look after Yan Shaoyi, Kitty Li herself was still a child. She might not be able to take good care of Yan Shaoyi. As he was thinking, he had already arrived at the door of Yan Shaoyi's room. The door was tightly shut and there was no sound at all. Yiqing Luo frowned. If Kitty Li was around, the room shouldn't be so quiet. He knocked on the door but there was no response. She pursed her lips and pushed the door open. As expected, it was just as he had imagined. The room was empty. The bed that Yan Shaoyi had lain on was neat and tidy, and a new set of bedding had been changed. Blue bedding. This was Yan Shaoyi's favorite color. The chilly air in the air told her that no one had entered this room for at least 2 hours. Yan Shaoyi's injuries were serious and she had to stay in bed to recuperate. Why would he leave this room? Wasn't Kitty Li taking care of Yan Shaoyi? Why was Kitty Li nowhere to be seen? Looking at the tidy new bedding on the bed, Yan Shaoyi shouldn't have gotten into any trouble. He should still be in this residence. Yiqing Luo left the courtyard and saw a maidservant carrying a medicinal soup, walking forward carefully. She stopped the maid and asked where Yan Shaoyi went. The maidservant bowed politely and said, "Eldest young master is sunbathing with the future eldest young mistress in the garden. This servant is preparing to deliver medicine to the future eldest young mistress." Garden? Sunbathing? Shanglan brought them over? Could it be that he didn't know that a patient who was seriously injured due to profound energy could not be easily moved? Seeing Yiqing Luo's expression sunk, the maid hurriedly explained, "7th Miss Yi, please don't worry. Eldest young master specially asked Sir Ghost Doctor before he brought future eldest young madam to the garden. Moreover, Master Qiao and Miss Li Mao are both in the garden, so future eldest young madam will be fine." Hearing Ghost Doctor's name, Yiqing Luo heaved a sigh of relief. But when she heard the second half of the sentence, Yiqing Luo suddenly felt a gust of wind messed up. Qiao Jin was also here? What the hell was going on? Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to say anything as she dashed towards the direction of the garden. Just as he reached the entrance of the garden, he heard Kitty Lee's joyful laughter coming from within. From afar he could see all kinds of colorful flowers. The flowers were bright and beautiful, and they were incomparably beautiful. A black figure was fluttering among the flowers, chasing after the butterflies. Not far away there were 3 people sitting in a pavilion. Just by looking at the surface, there was a warm atmosphere. But Yiqing Luo, who knew the inside story, obviously saw the shapeless sword shadows in the air. Yan Xiaoyi sat on a wheelchair which looked like a wheelchair. Xianxia leaned close to her, occasionally inquiring about her well-being, passing over some fruits which had already been peeled. Yan Xiaoyi looked at the flowers, at Kitty Lee who was fluttering about, as she laughed softly from time to time. Occasionally she would turn her head sideways and eat the fruits which Xianxia passed to her lips. Whereas, on the side of the stone table, Qiao Jin sat there expressionlessly. Chapter 1339. The correct way to show off their affection in front of their love rivals should not be. Qiao Jin bristled with anger. He realized that he couldn't stand Yan Xiaoyi being with another man, so he forcefully snatched her back and started a series of love and hate. However, the reality was, Yiqing Luo wanted to ridicule in her heart. Jinzi, aren't you a little too calm? Isn't there something wrong with this style? Feng Ling had only held on to Diamo Xian's arm, and she already had the urge to tear Feng Ling apart. Chu Wuxin had only checked if she was in disguise and touched her face when Diamo Xian got jealous and punished her harshly. When he saw the loving scene of Yan Xiaoyi and Xianxia, Qiao Jin was actually sitting at the side and watching. Qiao Jin's heart was so strong. In any case, if it were her, she would definitely not be able to remain so calm. Kitty. Yiqing Luo called Kitty Lee's name as she walked into the flowers. With a plop, a small figure fell beside her legs. The petals splashed up, flying with the wind. Kitty Lee raised her head. Due to her fall, the black hat on her head had fallen to the ground, revealing 2 black cat ears. When he saw Yiqing Luo, his ears twitched and he beamed with joy. "Sister, you're back." Yiqing Luo picked up her hat and helped her put it on as she asked in a low voice, "Didn't I ask you to take care of Xiaoyi? Why did you bring her here?" Kitty Lee stuck onto Yiqing Luo as she hugged her arm with both hands. "Young master," she saw that Sister Xiaoyi wanted to come out to bask in the sun, so he asked Sister Xiaoyi to come out to bask in the sun with him. Brother Jinzi also agreed, so Kitty Lee felt that there shouldn't be any problem. Jinzi also agreed? In other words, did Jinzi really intend to give up and matchmake Yan Xiaoyi and Xianxia? Fine. Very good, very powerful. She didn't need to rely on the wall to admire Qiao Jin. "I'll go take a look." Yiqing Luo rubbed Kitty Lee's head. The furry texture was as soft as a kitten's. Kitty Lee nodded her head vigorously as she released Yiqing Luo's arm. Then it jumped back into the flowers. Even in human form, Kitty Lee still retained the characteristics of a half-beast. Cats were especially interested in moving things, and Kitty Lee was no exception. When Yiqing Luo walked to the pavilion, Xianxia was feeding Yan Xiaoyi a piece of sparkling sweet pear. Yan Xiaoyi lifted her eyelids as she forced out a smile. "Qing Luo, how's the matter of applying for leave?" The dean agreed. Yiqing Luo sat by Qiao Jin's side and glanced sideways at Qiao Jin before looking at Xianxia. "Why is young master she so free?" Xianxia looked at Yan Xiaoyi warmly. His eyes were filled with tenderness as he replied, "Xiaoyi is so badly injured. As her fiancé, if I am not by her side, I am not fit to be a man. But I want to be by her side." Yiqing Luo was at a loss for words as she gave a dry laugh. He kept sizing up Qiao Jin from the corner of his eyes. He realized that this fellow was indeed mentally strong. Up until now, his expression had not changed at all. It was as if he did not care about Xianxia's words at all. If she didn't know that Qiao Jin truly liked Yan Xiaoyi, Yiqing Luo probably thought that Qiao Jin really didn't have any thoughts towards Yan Xiaoyi. "Lan, when are we getting married?" Yan Xiaoyi's calm voice was heard. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she almost spilled the teacup in her hands. She suddenly put down the teacup as she stared at Yan Xiaoyi. "What did you say earlier?" Chapter 1340. Marriage. Yan Xiaoyi was planning to marry Xianxia? Was there a mistake? Yiqing Luo finally understood what Yan Xiaoyi meant when she said those words in the morning. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to marry Xianxia as Qiao Jin wished? Take revenge on Qiao Jin with your life's happiness? Yiqing Luo didn't know what she should say to dissuade Yan Xiaoyi. She knew very well in her heart the decision that Yan Xiaoyi had made unless Qiao Jin personally spoke. Otherwise, Yan Xiaoyi would really disregard everything and marry Xianxia. If she really got married, Yan Xiaoyi would definitely regret it in the future. Why was Yan Xiaoyi so rash? Yiqing Luo sighed helplessly. When he thought of the culprit sitting beside him, he glared at him furiously. He lifted his leg and kicked Qiao Jin's calf. Qiao Jin's gaze still remained in front of him, as if he was looking at the flowers that filled the sky, and also as if he was thinking deeply about something. He totally did not notice Yiqing Luo's action of kicking him. At this critical juncture, how could Qiao Jin be in a daze? Yiqing Luo couldn't control her anger as she lifted her leg and kicked his calf hard. This kick finally made Qiao Jin come back to his senses. But he didn't act like his usual self, jumping up and pointing at Yiqing Luo as he scolded her. His gaze was calm as he took a faint glance at Yiqing Luo and immediately shifted his gaze away. Then he looked towards Yan Xiaoyi, his voice and tone no different than usual. The 20th of this month is an auspicious day. Coincidentally, it is also the time when the brothers' injuries are healed. Why not choose to get married then? As soon as these words came out, the entire pavilion fell into a deathly silence. The faint smile on Yan Xiaoyi's face froze. She stared blankly at Qiao Jin, trying to find a trace of emotion on his face. However, she saw nothing but sincerity. Qiao Jin really, sincerely chose an auspicious day for them. The 20th of this month. Half a month later. Did he really want her to get married as soon as possible so that he could chase her away? He hated her that much. Yiqing Luo was completely stunned. They couldn't believe that these words actually came out of Qiao Jin's mouth. She stared at Qiao Jin's expressionless side profile and felt a surge of anger in her heart. Perhaps it was because she was also a woman. She also didn't know why Qiao Jin had given up on Yan Xiaoyi. At this moment she deeply despised Qiao Jin's cowardice and his eagerness to push Yan Xiaoyi into someone else's arms. He once thought Qiao Jin was a daring, responsible and unyielding person. But after Qiao Jin said these words, all these thoughts completely vanished into thin air. The 20th of this month? Xianxia's voice broke the eerie silence. Although time is pressing, I am very willing to marry Xiaoyi as soon as possible. He held Yan Xiaoyi's hand tightly and said sincerely, Xiaoyi, don't worry. Even if time is tight, I will definitely give you a grand wedding. Yan Xiaoyi stared blankly at Qiao Jin. A long time passed. His pale lips moved slightly and he spat out a word, okay. At the same time an urgent voice covered Yan Xiaoyi's reply, no, I disagree. The few of them looked towards Yiqing Luo, who was banging the table and standing up at the same time. Miss Yi. Xianxia also stood up as his face was filled with uneasiness. I swear I will treat Xiaoyi well. If Miss Yi has any dissatisfaction towards me, I can correct it. Chapter 1341. When their gazes fell onto her, Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses. What I mean is. Yiqing Luo's pink lips pursed tightly as she took a look at the expressionless Qiao Jin and clenched her fists tightly. Xiaoyi is still young and the world group needs a strong assistant like Xiaoyi. If she gets married now, wouldn't she have to leave the academy? This doesn't affect. I don't mind Xiaoyi. Xianxia was stunned as he immediately replied. No way. Yiqing Luo interrupted his words. I mind. As the world group's vice group leader, I mind very much. Young master, she already said he doesn't mind. What do you mind about? Qiao Jin frowned. Yiqing Luo shut her eyes as she calmed her breathing. After getting married, Xiaoyi will no longer be alone. Even if young master, she doesn't mind Xiaoyi continuing to study in the academy and doesn't mind Xiaoyi joining the world group. But as his wife, no matter what, she has to put her family first and the team second. Her persuasion towards Yan Xiaoyi wasn't just because of Qiao Jin. More accurately speaking, when Qiao Jin was anxious for Yan Xiaoyi and Xianxia to get married, Yiqing Luo was already disappointed with Qiao Jin. From what she thought, no matter how big the reason was, he shouldn't be so anxious to push his beloved woman into another man's arms. Let's not talk about what kind of feelings Yan Xiaoyi had towards Xianxia. Just Qiao Jin's. If I don't want it, throw it to someone else. attitude made Yiqing Luo despise him. Yiqing Luo's heart ached for Yan Xiaoyi. She loved such a person, so she couldn't bear to let Yan Xiaoyi lose her entire lifetime of happiness because of Qiao Jin's words. Most importantly, towards Xishanglan, she had never trusted him right from the start. He was absolutely not Xiaoyi's husband. Taking a deep breath, Yiqing Luo's gaze was calm as she stared at Yan Xiaoyi. I hope that in this current period of time, you will think of the bigger picture and your brothers and not be in a hurry to get married. Only Yan Xiaoyi alone understood the deep meaning behind these words. Yiqing Luo was advising her that in her life, there wasn't only Qiao Jin alone. For Qiao Jin, was it worth it to sacrifice a lifetime of happiness and give up her brothers who had risked their lives for her? Yan Xiaoyi's heart, which was originally pierced by Qiao Jin's words, started to throb again. His heart seemed to have come alive. I was too impatient. Xishanglan seemed to be infected by Yiqing Luo's words as he lowered his head in embarrassment. What young Miss Yi said is right. Xiaoyi is not a canary in a cage, she belongs to a wider forest. His smile was sincere and his eyes were filled with sincerity as he held Yan Xiaoyi's hand and said softly, Xiaoyi, it's all right. Go and carve out a path that belongs to you. I will wait here for you. When you are tired, we will return to our home. Such a display of true feelings, tender and sweet. No woman would be able to escape such gentleness, especially when there was a cold and aloof man beside him as a contrast. It showed how well Xishanglan treated Yan Xiaoyi. At this moment, Yan Xiaoyi couldn't help but sink into this gentleness. Xishanglan's words were truly moving and moving. In Yan Xiaoyi's mind, a sentence appeared. If the person she liked was Xishanglan, how good would that be? Yes. She actually began to regret falling in love with Qiao Jin. No woman would be able to maintain her composure when facing the man she loved who kept pushing her towards other men. Especially a proud lady like Yan Xiaoyi. Her line of sight finally didn't look at Qiao Jin. She only nodded her head lightly. Chapter 1342. Lan, I'm sorry, I didn't consider thoroughly. Yan Xiaoyi apologized softly. She looked at this man at this tender gaze, as though he was holding her in his palms and cherishing her. She couldn't deny that her heart was moved. No one could escape from this gentleness. Xishanglan hurriedly shook his head. No need to apologize to me. I was too anxious and neglected your feelings. The two of them apologized to each other. When their gazes met, the two of them smiled at each other. Even Yiqing Luo, who was sitting by the side, could obviously feel that the atmosphere between Yan Xiaoyi and Xishanglan had become exceptionally harmonious. Yiqing Luo didn't know if she should say good or bad about this change. It might be better to forget about Qiao Jin and place her thoughts on another man. But that other man shouldn't be Xishanglan. No matter what, Yiqing Luo felt that this Xishanglan was extremely strange. This was a kind of intuition. She squinted her eyes as she stared at Xishanglan without blinking. She didn't miss any expression on Xishanglan's face. But still, she wasn't able to see any abnormal expression on Xishanglan's face. Just like his love for Yan Xiaoyi was from the bottom of his heart. Everything he had now was all for Yan Xiaoyi. No wonder Yan Xiaoyi would sink into it. Yiqing Luo sneaked a glance at the man next to her. He apparently felt the warm atmosphere between Yan Xiaoyi and Xishanglan. That pair of deep black eyes contracted slightly. His body suddenly tensed up. A biting cold murderous intent flashed past his eyes. But this emotional change only lasted for a moment. But in a blink of an eye, Qiao Jin's expression had already reverted back to its original expressionless look. It was so fast that Yiqing Luo suspected if she was hallucinating. Qiao Jin still loved Yan Xiaoyi. He still had unforgettable love and longing for Yan Xiaoyi. However, they were clearly in such a situation of love. Qiao Jin still sent Yan Xiaoyi into Xishanglan's arms for no reason. Alright, no need to apologize. After Xiaoyi becomes an old lady as the vice group leader, I will definitely let her get married. Yiqing Luo intentionally didn't see Qiao Jin's expression earlier, but intentionally teased him. Indeed, it was as Yiqing Luo had expected. The first to rebuke was Qiao Jin. Qing Luo, you can't delay Xiaoyi like this. Xiaoyi isn't going to marry you, and young master, she isn't even anxious about it. So what are you anxious about? Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. This. Qiao Jin racked his brains to find an excuse. Xiaoyi is already 17 this year. If she gets married a few years later, it will attract gossip. Yiqing Luo's brows rose. Young master, she has already said that he doesn't mind. When Xianxia heard his own name, he nodded warmly and said, yes, I don't mind. As long as Xiao Yi is willing to marry me, even if I have to wait another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I am willing. Yiqing Luo glanced at Xianxia. He would never let go of any opportunity to flirt with girls. His sweet words and honeyed words really made the hearts of young girls in the boudoir palpitate incessantly because of his words. Look, Yan Xiaoyi's face was already slightly red. This kind of shyness and excitement was not because she liked him. Instead, it was a kind of impulse that was stirred by the opposite sex. Chapter 1343. Yiqing Luo coughed lightly as she reminded Yan Xiaoyi. Since young master she doesn't have any objections, then let's not talk about marriage for now. The most important thing for us now is to heal. You don't mind? Qiao Jin abruptly stood up as his face turned steely green as he stared icily at Xianxia. Have you ever thought that Xiao Yi has the title of your fiancée but you still haven't taken her home? In the eyes of the outside world, what kind of rumors would it be? Qiao Jin's arrow was pointed directly at Yiqing Luo. Xiao Yi is not only your group member, she's also your friend. How can you give her lifetime's happiness to the world group? Qiao Jin's unreasonable outburst made the few of them instantly turn silent. Even Kitty Li, who was originally pouncing on butterflies, also turned her gaze over. Seeing the three of them staring at Qiao Jin, no one opened their mouths to speak. Kitty Li skipped and agilely flipped over the bamboo pole as she directly jumped next to Yiqing Luo. Following that, she imitated Yiqing Luo's expression as she stared at Qiao Jin. Being messed up by Kitty Li, the few of them shifted their gazes away. Qiao Jin clenched his fists tightly as he spoke in a deep voice. Qing Luo, your considerations are not thorough. Young Master Shi and Xiao Yi's marriage is something that will happen sooner or later. Since young Master Shi is willing to let Xiao Yi live the life she wants after marriage, then this month's 20th. A clear sound of a slap stopped Qiao Jin's long-winded words. Yan Xiao Yi raised her hand up high as her petite body trembled slightly as she stared fiercely at this ordinary-looking man, but that pair of eyes was so bright and mesmerizing. A fiery numbing pain came from her palm. Her slender fingers tightened one by one as it slowly clenched into a fist. She raised her head up high as her eyes reddened as she stared coldly at Qiao Jin. The smile on her lips was extremely chilly. Qiao Jin's cheek was already red and swollen. Even the corners of his lips were oozing with a sliver of blood. It was enough to show how ruthless Yan Xiaoyi's slap was. However, Qiao Jin seemed as though he didn't notice the intense pain from that slap as he stared at Yan Xiaoyi in a daze. Qiao Jin, when I get married is my own business. It has nothing to do with you, Yan Xiaoyi said word by word in an ice-cold voice. There was a strong sense of anger in her tone. Qiao Jin's thin lips trembled. He reached out his hand wanting to hold Yan Xiaoyi's wrist and explain. But before he could stretch his hand out, a voice suddenly rang out. Yan Xiaoyi was already extremely annoyed and shook him off. Enough? Really enough. There was another crisp sound of skin colliding. The back of Qiao Jin's hand turned red from the slap. Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fiery palms and stubbornly raised her head high. Her gaze was cold, devoid of any warmth or emotion. Qiao Jin, you don't have to like me, but please don't trample on my feelings for you. The pavilion instantly fell into a deathly silence. Yiqing Luo's astonished gaze moved back and forth between Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Could it be? Last night what happened between them was not as simple as what Yan Xiaoyi said. Yan Xiaoyi, she confessed that she liked Qiao Jin. Looking at Qiao Jin's unsurprised expression, Yiqing Luo understood. Yan Xiaoyi had indeed expressed her feelings to Qiao Jin last night. After the confession, she was wished happiness by her beloved man with another man. No wonder Yan Xiaoyi acted so strangely today. If it was her, she would probably have gone crazy. What was Qiao Jin trying to do? Chapter 1344. Qiao Jin, the one who has the least right to criticize my feelings is you. After Yan Xiaoyi finished her sentence, she patted her wooden-wheeled chair. Xianxia, who was in a daze, immediately regained his senses and stood up. Xianxia smiled warmly at them. Then he pushed the wooden chair and left the pavilion. Cat cat. Yiqing Luo looked at Yan Xiaoyi's departing back as she called out softly. Kitty Li's little head immediately moved to his side. Follow them and take a look. Don't let Xiao Yi and Xishanglon be alone. Yiqing Luo rubbed her furry little head as she instructed. This time, no matter who it is, don't let Xiao Yi leave her room, do you understand? Kitty Li blinked her cat-like eyes. Sister, you like that Xishanglon too? Yiqing Luo raised her brows, not understanding the meaning of her words. Kitty doesn't like him either. There was a scent on his body that made it hard for Kitty to get close to him. If it wasn't for big sister Xiao Yi insisting on coming to the garden, Kitty wouldn't even want to come. Kitty Li nodded vigorously. Then she said pitifully, I wanted to tell you the first time I saw him. He had a disgusting smell on him, but he's Xiao Yi's fiancé and he saved everyone, so I didn't dare to tell you. It's right not to say it. Yiqing Luo pinched Kitty Li's little face. Our Kitty Li has grown up and knows how to consider problems. This is very good. Kitty Li's eyes lit up. That pair of bright and resplendent eyes sparkled brightly. I'm so happy to be praised by Big Sister. All right, let's go and accompany Xiao Yi first. They have already gone far away. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with smiles as she patted Kitty Li's shoulder and pointed to the front, towards the direction where the two figures had disappeared. Kitty Li cried out, her small body moving agilely. In the blink of an eye, he was already dozens of meters away among the flowers. In the blink of an eye, the cat-like figure was as fast as lightning. He disappeared from Yiqing Luo's vision. She retracted her gaze and stared at Qiao Jin. Have you calmed down now? Qiao Jin's face was extremely red and swollen. It made his already not-so-handsome face look even more comical. But now Yiqing Luo couldn't smile at all. Qiao Jin sat back down heavily on the stone block and turned his face away. You want to seek justice for Xiao Yi? I just want to ask you a few questions. Yiqing Luo sat opposite him. She confessed to you and it's fine if you reject her, but why did you still matchmake her with Xishanglon? In this relationship with Yan Xiaoyi, Qiao Jin had always been weak and timid. Yiqing Luo thought that Qiao Jin was timid and weak, because he cared about Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi was nervous, so he couldn't bear to lose the chance to accompany Yan Xiaoyi. But now Yan Xiaoyi had clearly expressed her feelings. Yan Xiaoyi had already taken a step forward. Logically speaking, Qiao Jin should not have any worries. However, the result was unexpected. I can't be with her. Qiao Jin's voice was tense as he enunciated each word. Her marriage to young master, she is the happiest thing for her. Happiness? You're not Xiao Yi, so on what basis do you conclude that it's happiness for her to be with Xishanglon? Yiqing Luo gave a cold sneer. Qiao Jin suddenly raised his head as he tried to explain with a flustered expression. But his thin lips trembled and after stuttering for some time, he wasn't able to spit out any explanation. Chapter 1345. Qiao Jin was speechless. Yiqing Luo continued to laugh coldly. Qiao Jin, I don't know what difficulties you have and I don't want to know why you are able to give up Xiao Yi so calmly. But there's one point, please get it clear, get it clear. Xiao Yi only likes you, she doesn't belong to you. You don't have the right to stop her from liking you and you don't have the right to force her to be with someone else. Qiao Jin lowered his head in silence. After a long while, a voice filled with pain and helplessness lightly rang out. You're right. I was too selfish. He chuckled softly. It was the kind of bitter smile that made one's heart ache. I want to give up on Xiao Yi. My heart breaks just thinking about it. So, I want to see her marry Xishanglon with my own eyes. As long as she gets married, I think I will definitely be able to give up. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Then do you still feel that you can give up now? Silence replaced everything else. Yiqing Luo didn't continue asking. She only stared quietly at Qiao Jin at the droplets of water on his thigh. His heart inexplicably softened a little. As resolute as Qiao Jin. But at this moment the man who was suffering from the pain shed his tears. He still loved Yan Xiaoyi. He loved Yan Xiaoyi very, very deeply. Loved to the point that even a man's tears fell. Why did he still reject Yan Xiaoyi? They loved each other, but the pain of love. Yiqing Luo was unable to understand what this kind of love was. Perhaps I should be alone for a while. After a long time, the man with his head lowered choked with sobs. His muscles tensed and his fists clenched. Suppressing his intense emotions, he took a deep breath and said, Perhaps it's only when I'm alone that I can think about how I should choose. Heh. An ambiguous sneer interrupted Qiao Jin's words. Xiao Jin raised his eyes and his bloodshot eyes looked towards Yiqing Luo. But he saw Yiqing Luo's lips curling into a sneer of disdain as her long and narrow eyes overflowed with a cold glint. After you've thought it through, I think. You might not be able to see Xiao Yi forever. What? Didn't you hear what Kitty Cat said? Yiqing Luo sneered. Xiao Jin, she just said, cats are beastmen, they have the blood and habits of ordinary cat beasts. Animals are the most intuitive to sense human emotions. Yiqing Luo half supported her head and looked at him with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Xiao Jin's eyes suddenly widened. Xishanglan and Xiao Yi are basically, not necessarily. Yiqing Luo shook her finger as her brows rose as she looked at Xiao Jin's worried look. Xishanglan should like Xiao Yi, but, as compared to love, Xishanglan should have a more important motive. No, impossible. How could he possibly make use of Xiao Yi? The expression on Xiao Jin's face changed unpredictably as the pain in his eyes grew unceasingly. Yiqing Luo sneered, "What's impossible? If Xishanglan really treated Xiao Yi as the most important person in his heart like what he said, how could he still smile at you politely and warmly when Xiao Yi said that she liked you? At least Dmo Xian would absolutely not. If it was Dmo Xian and he heard other men expressing a tiny bit of interest towards her, Dmo Xian would absolutely announce in an overbearing manner that she, Yiqing Luo, was his Dmo Xian's woman. When you really liked someone, you would want to possess everything of the other party. Absolutely could not tolerate a single grain of sand. Like Xishanglan, when he heard the woman whom he deeply loved said that she liked another man, he could still politely bid farewell to that man. Chapter 1346. Xiao Jin fell into silence again. He understood this feeling the most. When he saw Yan Xiaoyi calling Xishanglan intimately, he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Seeing Yan Xiaoyi eat the fruit that Xishanglan brought to her lips and smile gently at Xishanglan, he was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Looking at Yan Xiaoyi and Xishanglan's similar smiles, that warm atmosphere made him want to rush forward and hug Yan Xiaoyi fiercely, but he couldn't. He was the one who had pushed Yan Xiaoyi to Xishanglan. He was the one who had personally caused this outcome. He had no right to be jealous, no right to be crazy, just like what Yiqing Luo said. He also did not have the qualifications to decide Yan Xiaoyi's life. Xiao Jin did not feel such intense jealousy from Xishanglan. Thinking back to what Kitty Li had just said. Seeing Xiao Jin's expression turning increasingly steely green, Yiqing Luo shot him a faint glance. Finally understand what you've pushed Xiao Yi into, is the bottomless abyss and not the so-called happiness. Why? Xiao Jin's throat was dry and even breathing seemed so difficult and painful. I'm still investigating. Yiqing Luo replied calmly. Tonight we should be able to get the information from the Imperial Palace's investigation. But for now, I hope that you can control your own emotions and not alert the enemy. Xiao Jin's fists were tightly clenched as his well-built body trembled incessantly. She really thought that Xishanglan would be Yan Xiaoyi's husband. However, he had neglected the most important matter. Now you're alone, calm down, I'd like to see how quiet you can be. Yiqing Luo supported herself with one hand on the stone table as she stood up. The corners of her lips curled up as she sneered. Women could empathize with this kind of pain the most. Her heart ached for Yan Xiaoyi. How much did she blame Xiao Jin? Yiqing Luo turned around and left the pavilion without looking back. At night, Dmo Xian brought the results of his investigation on Xishanglan. Xiao Jin also quietly came over. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered with him as she directly opened the parchment in her hands. All of Xishanglan's information were recorded above. Yiqing Luo's gaze swiftly swept past those messages. The information was very comprehensive. Even the matter of Xishanglan being kidnapped with Yan Xiaoyi when he was young was recorded in great detail. Only thing was, after Yiqing Luo spent 1 hour to finish reading all the information, she didn't discover anything unusual about Xishanglan's identity or his recent whereabouts. Xishanglan was indeed a gentle and refined young master. No matter who it was, he was always polite. He admired the second daughter of the Yan family wholeheartedly, and had spent a lot of effort to find out the whereabouts of the second daughter, and to find out everything about the second daughter. If there was one thing that Xishanglan, the gentle young master, did, that was to sneak into second young mistress' newly purchased residence and change the style of second young mistress residence to his own residence. This second miss was undoubtedly Xianxia. From the information, not only was there nothing suspicious about Xishanglan, but it also clearly indicated Xishanglan truly loved Xianxia. Everything that he did for Xianxia was from the bottom of his heart, from the bottom of his heart. Yiqing Luo's brows creased, but before she could say a word, the parchment in her hands was snatched away by Qiao Jin. He stared at the words on the parchment as his breathing became hurried. Why couldn't he find any problem? How could he possibly really like Xiao Yi? A contradictory man. One moment he accused Xishanglan of using him. Chapter 1347. Yiqing Luo leaned lazily into Dmo Xian's arms as she glanced sideways at Qiao Jin. Xishanglan is sincere towards Xiao Yi. Isn't that what you wish for? Why this expression again? I'm not. Qiao Jin's arms stiffened as the paper in his hand fell onto the ground. His gaze was flustered as he didn't dare to look at Yiqing Luo's eyes. After racking his brains, he finally squeezed out an explanation. I feel that this information is too clean, so clean that it makes me suspect him even more. At least you haven't completely turned into a fool. Yiqing Luo's sleeves moved as she rolled up the paper on the ground. Her energy spread the paper flat on the table. Yiqing Luo propped her chin as she looked at Dmo Xian with a smile which didn't look like a smile. The Imperial Palace isn't safe anymore? This information was investigated by the Imperial Palace's disciples. But from the side presented in the information, Xishanglan was a graceful young master with a perfect image. There weren't any blemishes on him. Or perhaps, in everyone's eyes, Xishanglan was indeed the image presented in the information? Impossible. No one was perfect. Even if it was her, if the Imperial Palace really investigated, they would be able to find many blemishes on her or some unknown matters. Xishanglan's information was too clean. Just like what Qiao Jin said. Clean made people even more suspicious. It's not the Imperial Palace's problem. Dmo Xian's body leaned forward slightly as his scorching hot chest stuck onto Yiqing Luo's soft body. His chin rested on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. The image which Xishanglan presented to the public is exactly as the information shows. Can a person really be so perfect? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked sideways at the man beside her. The distance between them was very close. Dmo Xian's head was resting on her shoulder. Yiqing Luo's eyes. Her pink lips were imprinted on the side of Dmo Xian's face. Dmo Xian's brows arched as his peach blossom eyes were overflowing with color as he smiled. Lil Luo is so anxious? The touch on her lips was warm and silky smooth. A man actually had such a good skin. It even brought along his elegant sandalwood scent. Yiqing Luo's face flushed red as she moved her lips away and retreated backwards as she rolled her eyes at him. Stop fooling around. Dmo Xian indeed stopped messing around. But Yiqing Luo could clearly hear the man's low and hoarse laughter from time to time. Laughing till Yiqing Luo's cheeks were burning hot. Your Majesty, what do you mean? Qiao Jin seemed to be unable to endure the lovey-dovey scene in front of him. He shifted his gaze away rather unnaturally, changing the topic as he asked. He wanted to just leave the room. He didn't want to disturb Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo's sweet moment. He also didn't want to see such a sweet scene. Such a scene was like a silver needle, ruthlessly stabbing into his heart. His mind was filled with Xiaoyi's exquisite face. But he couldn't leave. This matter concerned Xiaoyi. No matter what, he had to find out the truth. If Xishanglan was really using Xiaoyi and deceiving her, he would kill Xishanglan before Xiaoyi found out. We still need to investigate. Dmo Xian replied calmly. This sovereign can ascertain that the Imperial Palace would not falsify this information, but how could Xishanglan be so clean? His voice paused as his long and narrow peach blossom eyes squinted slightly, as a biting cold arc flashed past. Behind him, there must be a force that can go against the Imperial Palace. Dark forces. Yiqing Luo blurted out. Chapter 1348. To tell the truth, Yiqing Luo didn't think that Xishanglan was related to the dark forces. Such a gentle and graceful young master, with such a good image to the outside world. Totally not in line with the dark forces style. Furthermore, Xishanglan pursued Xiaoyi relentlessly and secretly investigated Xiaoyi. Furthermore, he changed his own courtyard into the exact same style as Xiaoyi's old residence. Wasn't it because they had been kidnapped when they were young, hence Xianxia started to like Yan Xiaoyi? But now, knowing that Yan Xiaoyi was a member of the world group, a student of devil class, Xianxia started to have a man's ambition and goal. Yiqing Luo had always thought so. But now, hearing what Zhou Xian said, she couldn't help but felt a chill down her spine. The Dark Force's goal. It had always been her. They needed her profound jade heart to unlock the other seals on the vast water god relic. They needed her body to bear the burden of the profound jade heart. Although Yiqing Luo wasn't clear why the dark forces needed the god relic and her profound jade heart. But the only thing she could confirm was, to awaken the King of Darkness, the key to unlock the King of Darkness, was not only the cultivator's soul. It also required powerful strength, powerful profound energy. Xianxia was a member of the dark forces. Then how did he know that a few years ago Yan Xiaoyi would be acquainted with him in the future? And specially forged into such a gentle young master image? No matter how exquisite a person's acting is, they will eventually give themselves away. Let's not beat the grass and alert the snake first. Let's secretly investigate the actual situation. Zhou Xian brushed a lock of Yiqing Luo's hair as he said calmly, "The Imperial Palace will investigate, no need to be anxious." Hearing Zhou Xian's words, Yiqing Luo's anxiousness slowly dissipated. She nodded and responded softly, As long as Zhou Xian helped, no matter how big the matter was, it could be settled. Her man was that incredible. Yiqing Luo looked at Qiao Jin as she instructed, "Jinzi, no matter what you are thinking now, maintain your original attitude. We are now living under someone else's roof and our brother's injuries have yet to recover. The minute you act rashly, it will affect all our brothers." She understood Qiao Jin's character. After knowing that Xianxia had an ulterior motive for getting close to Yan Xiaoyi, Qiao Jin wouldn't be able to restrain himself. After knowing that Xianxia was related to the dark forces, Qiao Jin even wanted to kill Xianxia. He could have such thoughts, but definitely not now. Since Xianxia approached them with a purpose, why didn't they directly use Xianxia's wealth and power to heal their brother's injuries? Xianxia was in charge of herbs and manpower. Since Xianxia Prefecture was so shrewd, it meant that they weren't stupid. Knowing that she, the ghost doctor and the saint thief were there, Xianxia would definitely not dare to tamper with the medicinal ingredients. Qiao Jin's stiff body suddenly tensed up. A pair of deep dark eyes fixed on Yiqing Luo. After a while he pursed his thin lips and spat out a word unwillingly. Then he turned around and left the room. Seeing Qiao Jin's reaction, Yiqing Luo knew that this fellow indeed wanted to take action against Xianxia directly. When it came to Yan Xiaoyi's matters, Qiao Jin's brain didn't know how to work. Since he liked her so much, why did he use such a method to push her away? Yiqing Luo looked at the tightly shut door and sighed silently. Chapter 1349. Zhou Xian's large palm encircled her waist, as his rosy lips slowly moved closer to hers. The kiss landed. But Yiqing Luo turned her head away, avoiding it. Yiqing Luo felt the hand on her waist, slightly exerting some force. Yiqing Luo pretended not to notice, her slender brows raised frivolously, as her slender long fingers gently caressed Zhou Xian's lips. Her charming eyes were filled with smiles as her tone was gentle. "If you don't say it. This mouth of yours, don't even think of getting close to me." The man who was sticking close to her suddenly stiffened. The muscles in front of his chest became stiff. That arm on her waist also stiffened. Zhou Xian's reaction successfully pleased Yiqing Luo. Her dimples bloomed as her fingers wantonly teased his lips, his face, and finally landed on his chest, playing with his lapel. Slender fingers as white as jade. Even through his clothes, Zhou Xian could clearly feel the temperature of her fingertips. "Little Luo, feel that the fire on your body is not strong enough?" Zhou Xian's voice was hoarse as he encircled her waist tightly, sticking close to his body. Yiqing Luo obviously felt. Her face turned red as she was still in her menstrual period. Her mouth refused to let him off. "Then are you willing to say it?" Zhou Xian suddenly stretched out his hand, as he hugged her horizontally in his arms. Following that, he went directly to the bed at the side. Wait. It couldn't be, he couldn't really be aroused by her and wanted to force himself on her? Her body was thrown onto the soft bed. Yiqing Luo subconsciously shrank backwards as she was about to turn over and get off the bed. A boiling hot body directly suppressed her desire to escape. Hey Zhou Xian. Don't be like this. Yiqing Luo fluttered her limbs, refusing to give in obediently. Don't think of using this method to divert the topic. If you don't tell me today, I will pester you tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I will pester you to ask, I will pester you to ask, I will keep pestering you to ask. After Zhou Xian pressed her onto the bed, he turned over and landed beside her. One arm encircled her into his embrace. Yiqing Luo's struggles and roars also gradually ceased. Lying on his chest, Yiqing Luo cursed Zhou Xian's domineering xiao aura. Even her beauty couldn't make Zhou Xian open his mouth. Would he still want to kiss her in the future? Did he still want to get married? Little emotions started to grow as Yiqing Luo raised her head and stared at Zhou Xian. Before he could say anything, his lips were covered by a warm sensation. The elegant scent of sandalwood seeped into her nose. His kiss landed on her lips. He kissed her extremely gently and meticulously. Between his lips and teeth, he said in an extremely soft and hoarse voice, "Keep pestering me." Yiqing Luo had just opened her mouth, but it gave Zhou Xian the chance to take advantage of the situation. The gentle and delicate kiss turned into a lingering kiss. The days on the surface passed peacefully. Before he knew it, half a month had passed. All the youths were able to get out of bed and walk around, doing some simple rehabilitation exercises. There were even 10 over youngsters whose injuries had completely recovered. All these made Yiqing Luo's uneasy heart to ease up slightly. But there was another point which made Yiqing Luo apprehensive was the relationship between these youngsters and Xianxia was getting better and better. In this half a month's time, Xianxia had really displayed that kind of warm and polite, graceful and gentle young master image to the fullest. He was able to take good care of all the students in the devil class. Chapter 1350. This brainwashing ability made even Yiqing Luo gasp in amazement. However, there was no concrete evidence after all. Yiqing Luo was unable to directly let the youngsters in devil class maintain their relationship with Xianxia. Otherwise, with Xianxia's intelligence, he could easily sense that she was suspicious of him. Today, Yiqing Luo intended to bring up the matter of leaving the Xi family's residence and return to the academy. As soon as he arrived at the main hall of the residence, he could hear the sounds of laughter coming from within. Looking at her brothers and Xianxia chatting happily in the main hall, Yiqing Luo sighed softly. "Don't you like him?" Suddenly, an extremely low voice came from behind. It was Xianxia. She wore an aqua-blue dress and her hair was simple, which made her look even more intelligent and beautiful. Under Xianxia's meticulous care, her injuries had already healed. Her delicate little face was no longer sickly pale. Xianxia walked to Yiqing Luo's side and stopped in her tracks, using a voice which only the both of them could hear. "I can tell that your attitude towards him is very distant. What about you? Have you decided to be with him or miss him?" Yiqing Luo pointed out. Xiaoyi's expression congealed slightly and several breaths later, her beautiful eyes met Yiqing Luo's eyes calmly. "No." These two words were considered as a reply to Yiqing Luo's two questions. He didn't decide to be with Xianxia. He didn't think about Qiao Jin either. Qiao Jin had disappeared ever since he had obtained Xianxia's investigation information. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. No one knew where he had gone. Yiqing Luo had asked Zhou Xian before, but Zhou Xian only caressed her fine black hair as he replied calmly, "If he wants to come back, he will naturally appear." Apparently, Zhou Xian knew where Qiao Jin had gone to. But he wasn't going to tell her. It was as if he did not intend to tell her Qiao Jin's identity. Yiqing Luo held Xiaoyi's hand as her lips curled slightly. "Let's go." The two of them walked side by side into the hall. The clamor came to an abrupt end. The youths who had been lazing around stood up straight in an instant. They were excited as they looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully. Yiqing Luo was stunned as she was puzzled by their sudden respect. Just as he was about to speak, a soft body pressed against his back. It rubbed its furry little head against her bosom. "Big sister," Kitty Lee moved her head to her shoulder and said, "It's that Xianxia. He said that he wanted you to see everyone in high spirits, so he wanted everyone to show their best attitude to welcome you." Although these words sounded as if he was thinking for her, she wanted to make sure that her brothers had recovered from their injuries. To make her feel more at ease. But why did Yiqing Luo feel Had he become an outsider? The words "welcome her" sounded particularly awkward to his ears. Every day she and the ghost doctor would personally take everyone's pulse. No one knew better than she did, so she was naturally at ease. Moreover, with the relationship between her and her brothers, it did not seem worthwhile for them to stop laughing and joking when they saw her, right? This wasn't a training ground. Yiqing Luo's heart was inexplicably flustered. But she didn't show it on her face. Why are you all so restrained? Everyone please sit down. Yiqing Luo smiled as she held Kitty Li in one hand and Yan Xiaoyi in the other, walking towards Xishanglan's direction. Xishanglan immediately went forward as he looked at Yan Xiaoyi warmly. My apologies, I was too engrossed in chatting with everyone and forgot to fetch you. Chapter 1351. Xishanglan was slightly stunned. Soon after, he very quickly revealed a smile and walked to Yan Xiaoyi's side, saying in a warm voice, I am also worried about you. Your body has only just recovered and you still have to pay more attention. Don't leave a lingering illness in the future. The surrounding youths all revealed ambiguous and teasing expressions. This kind of expression was something that Yan Xiaoyi and Yiqing Luo were used to. Xishanglan would not let go of any chance to flirt with girls and show off their affection. The youths were already used to this kind of blinding love. Yan Xiaoyi nodded lightly, I know what I'm doing. Saying that, his gaze went past Xishanglan and looked at Yiqing Luo who was sitting by the side. Qing Luo, don't you have something to tell everyone? Yan Xiaoyi's words immediately diverted everyone's attention. The youngsters looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully, waiting for her words. Such a phenomenon was not unheard of. On the training grounds, Yiqing Luo's demands were extremely strict, treating all the students as soldiers in training. Therefore there were many rules. However, this was not a training ground. If it was in the past, these youngsters would have started talking at once, asking Yiqing Luo what she wanted to talk about. This feeling, it was as if she was the instructor that the students looked up to, the vice-captain that they worshipped from the bottom of their hearts. That was all. Yiqing Luo's brows furrowed slightly as she squinted her eyes and looked at Xishanglan in displeasure. Did he brainwash them again? This man, what exactly did he say to these youths? What was he trying to do? What's the matter? Xishanglan noticed Yiqing Luo's gaze as he smiled warmly and asked. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an elegant smile without any flaws. His gaze swept across the hall with deep meaning as he spoke casually. Young Master Shi's relationship with my brothers in the world group isn't bad. They are all very sincere and decisive. I like interacting with people like that. Xishanglan nodded sincerely. The youths scratched their heads in embarrassment. Young Master Shi is too kind. Young Master Shi is the one with a gentle temperament. He is also very gentle to us. Yes, it's all thanks to young Master Shi that we could recover so quickly. It's our good fortune to know young Master Shi. Voices of thanks filled the entire hall in an instant. Yiqing Luo felt suffocated. When she spoke, these people were like mutes. Although they still respected him, they still idolized him. But there was something missing. Yet, the moment Xishanglan spoke, it was as if the mute acupoints of this group of youths were unlocked. It was not difficult to see the respect and gratitude in the eyes of these youths towards Xishanglan. Yiqing Luo had to admit. She was jealous. And now, the desire in his heart was roaring and rushing. What if King Husky? I plan to return to the academy. Yiqing Luo raised her voice, suppressing all the youngsters' voices. The voices in the surroundings stopped abruptly once more. Xishanglan's calm expression changed slightly. This? Why is Lady Yi going back to the academy? Could it be that I did not take good care of him? If there's anything inappropriate, it's just that you're too considerate. Yiqing Luo unhappily interrupted Xishanglan's words. No matter what Xishanglan's motive was, Yiqing Luo only had one feeling now. He was jealous. And she was extremely jealous. Before these youngsters met Xishanglan, they had obviously treated her, Long Yunzhan and the others as the bright lights in their hearts. Now, this bright light had become Xishanglan.